Welcome everyone to another Pixelated review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan, and we are here with another series review of Renegade Star. And as far as you can tell from the thumbnail, there is so much I want to say about it. Do you see the hearts on the eyes? You already know something's up with this series. You already know what it is. I'm excited to get into this because I remember the first time I saw this series, I was like, I need something to read, because I try to balance my sci-fi and my fantasy when I'm reading, so that way one thing's not overtaking the other. I try to branch out into fantasy, even though I'm not a fantasy reader, but I try. If it was sci-fi, I've always liked sci-fi, I'm a big Halo fan, and I know there was novels of them, but I was like, I want to try something different, and so that's what I did. I went into, this series I found on Amazon. It was surprisingly free and on the Kindle thing, but there was also on Audible, there was 2 books for one. It was like, I can roll with that. I was like, that sounds pretty cool to me. So I delved into the series, and there's 16 books, mind you, 16. I know, that's crazy, right? But they're all relatively short, all things considered. I think in total, one book is only 4 hours long. I think that's about right. But I was actually very excited when I first read this book. Oh my god, it was great. It was great. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm sorry. But yes, there's 16 books in the series, and each book's about really short, about maybe 4 hours, and that's about it. It's not heavily dense, but we'll get into that later. But for now, so I guess let's say our saying, right? So without further ado, let's start this review. Book 1, Renegade Star. So I'm going to do this review thing a little bit different. Instead of kind of just put them in whatever order I feel like it, just so that way it's on a tier list. I'm just going to put this all from 1 to 16 to make it a little bit simpler, and not as confusing as it normally is. So, but generally this is going to be all the same rating, so, because I enjoyed it so much. Anyways, with this book, it went in going all right, here's the book you're getting into, and there you go. And from the first word, I was like, okay, this is a series we're getting into, and it starts right there, and it didn't stop from then on, and it made me laugh. I was having fun. These characters are just hilarious, and I was just having a great time. And then when we get to the point where we're gonna do with this plot here, it's more or less rediscovery of Earth, because humanity has forgotten about Earth, and now they just want to discover Earth again. So this little ragtag team from this here with Jace Hughes and all that stuff, it's great. And I really enjoyed it, and I love just the beginning of it, and it's just okay, it's a reverse story of getting to Earth. I can dig that. And then, we have other things that actually ended up happening. It builds up to that. It just gets nuts from the first one, and it's fun. Though a lot of comments on this I've seen say people didn't like it because it dropped the F-bomb a lot, and it does. And honestly, I don't know why it never bothered me. I just kind of went with it, and it made me laugh. So if you have a problem with that, I wouldn't recommend this book series, I guess. It tones it down definitely quite a bit, a lot in the end. But here, it's definitely, there's a lot to go through with that. But if you don't mind that, I don't mind it, and I don't see it as a flaw, then I think you'll have a good time, depending on how your sci-fi is. But as a start to a series, I think this is awesome, and I give this, I recommend it tier. Book 2, Renegade Atlas. Everybody's under arrest under the space police. Well, not really, but they're being hunted down though, so that's going on. And then there's a new technology with ancient Earth going on with Lex, who's an albino with blue instead of red hair and red eyes, But other than that though, it's freaking cool, man. It's actually really cool. I love the chase sequences. I like just the Federation chasing them. They're a lot of fun, and then the technology is actually kind of cool too. So needless to say, this one had a lot of fun. Very short, but not a lot of fun. So I give it a check it out tier. Book 3, Renegade Moon. Alright, check it. There's this moon, right? And it's got a Cortana on it. Okay, well, that doesn't happen to the end, but there is a moon, and it's a space moon. Think of it like the, Death Star. But not Death Star. It's weird. It's like a Death Star, but it's not the Death Star. It's like the Traveler, but not the Traveler from Destiny, which is weird. But yeah, though, that's this one's kind of fun because it's on the planet. It's got an AI. It's got a big old ship moon, and then yeah, that's this Renegade Moon, and there you go. And I also give this a rating of, check it out, Book 4, Renegade Lost. There's always an ice planet in sci-fi. Always. You never miss it. There's always one. It may come later, it may come sooner, but there's always an ice planet. I really like this one because this one took place on an ice planet, but it actually expanded the lore of ancient Earth, you know, with all the people who they were used to be and all that stuff, and the technology that they have, and how these little tattoos that Lex has activates old Earth technology. And there is a tribe of Earth people down there. And actually, one of my favorite things that they did mention in this, they have this little ball that's able to communicate with people. Like, you know, if you speak one language, they speak another, this ball automatically changes that so everyone understands each other. And I love the language of the Renegade universe. The common language to speak is called Common E. And I thought that is the best thing to say. And I'm like, that is hilarious. I love that. So Common E is the language of Renegade's universe. Okay? Remember that. So I give this a rating of, I recommend it. Book 5, Renegade Fleet. Gundam makes an appearance, and so does Transformers. I mean, anything giant robot related. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, there's a lot of fighting in this one, so this one I had a lot of fun with. There was a little less of the little story going on, but generally it was a lot of action based, and just that ending too was just, Sigmund, man. Sigmund, I love Sigmund. I mean, he's the best, let me tell you. Sigmund is the best. And, yeah, and this is where we got just action, more story beats, you know, saving the people from that ice world and all that. It really is a really good journey. You know, this one was just all about action. So, yeah, I give this a tier of check it out tier. Book 6, Renegade Earth. Earth isn't ready yet. I know that doesn't make sense right now, but when you read the story from this point, at least the point before, but it is not ready. And it mind-blown me because it was at the end, of course, you know, but we had like the Union fight, which is the Federation, Sarkonians, which is like, I don't know what you will call them, Russia, Space Russia? I don't know. Anyways, this was really cool. Like, just getting to that end piece and just seeing that Earth just was in ruins, technically, and was still being, quote-unquote, made, if that makes sense. Like, it's so weird of what they end up doing, but I really thought it was mind-blowing to see that happen right then and there, and it was just cool. So I was excited to see what happens after this because, well, Earth is rediscovered. So yeah, so I give this a tier rating of I recommend it tier. Book 7, Renegade Dawn. After kicking the butt out of the Union's butt in its commanding officer, getting the Galactic Dawn itself, which is the hint title, it was more or less, you know, kind of just another thing kind of going on. It wasn't as expansive as I kind of hoped it would be in this book, but I really did enjoy the journey that it was, and then we get a little bit more insight about Earth and what ended up happening later on, because it does lead into future events, which is actually pretty cool. So I really do like the build up in this one. It's a bit slower than the rest of the books, but still all enjoyable. So that's why I'm giving this the rating of check it out tier. Book 8, Renegade Children. The Eternals are coming. The Eternals are coming. That's basically what they should be saying at this point. It's the next threat, I guess you would say, of the series. Though I would call, if you call Sarkonians or the Union really a big threat, I don't know. It was more the discovery of Earth, and Union was just kind of there. But this kind of builds on the ancient Earth and all that stuff, and what ended up happening, how Lex became about, and stuff like that, and other just crazy stuff with technology and all that good stuff. And there's different things going on in the Earth itself, and just more crazy things. Sigmund's also doing stuff, because Sigmund's always doing stuff because he's awesome. But yeah, no, this one was definitely a lot more build up, and building that threat of what can happen and what these things are. And they do feel like a good threat. So when I got to this point, I was like, okay, can't wait for the next one. This is going to be good. So that's why I'm giving this a rating of check it out tier. Book 9, Renegade Union. This is a bit of a weird one here. Like, he lost his memory. Jace Hughes lost his memories for a bit. Like, what happened? And then there was a meeting he was trying to remember with the Union Sarkonians. They took Lex. Sarkonians took Lex for a little bit. And then, they ended up talking about the Union ship of, working together as a team for the Eternals. And, so definitely an odd one. We got a little bit more backstory, I think, in this one. I mean, there was always flashbacks to Jace Hughes' life before he became a renegade. And those were always really cool. But this one's definitely the odd one out of here. But still enjoyable. Lex is cool. So really can't really complain about that. And it's just weird storytelling for this kind of series. I was only done once to try to freshen it up. And I don't really mind that. So, but yeah, still enjoyable. So I give this a rating of check it out tier. Book 10, Renegade Empire.
Celestial.
They are the bad guys right now. These guys are gonna be going off the walls, like just wrecking things, just ruining things, and just everything. They were the main threat of the Eternals, and that's why they ran away and tried to hide, and these guys have been chasing them ever after. Now, we're finally getting more things about them, because they killed the one the first time. Barely, I think, yeah. And now they're kind of going through the slip place and seeing all this stuff, and they're going through this gigantic, basically planet thing of metal, So, and it's actually kind of interesting. I really do enjoy it, and it really builds on the tension of this new Celestial War. So, can't wait for that. That's why I give this a rating of check it out tier. Book 11, Renegade Descent. This had a really cool end, an epic end. It was honestly scary. And the whole thing where the teams, trying to align, but they don't want to align it with the Union, Sarkonians, and then, of course, Jace Hughes and his colonials and all that stuff. I guess you'll call them colonials. But, yeah, they don't get along that well. But they're trying to, and then with the Celestial threat here, it's just, it's not that good. And the ending of it just was sad, the two characters specifically, and and then what's coming next was honestly very just terrifying, it actually really do a lot of good stuff in this one, and it's one of the most things I remembered, just the tensity of the whole scenes I would hear. Definitely will remember this one for a while, so that's why I give it a rating of I recommend it tier. Book 12, Renegade Rising. After taking over the metal ball and actually finding a different AI, it's like nuts, dude. Like, this thing is crazy, dude. Like, these technologies are just getting crazier and crazier every time we go to anything else Earth, quote unquote, related. And it's cool, and I really liked it. So, and this one was definitely just the same too, just more intensity. These guys just feel like an unbeatable threat, but it gets better. I really did enjoy this one, and it was a little less memorable than the rest. The AIs are pretty cool, so that's why I give it a rating of check it out tier. Book 13, Renegade Alliance. I'm gonna explain it very simple here. Halo. Alright? I think we got it straightforward, Halo. Alright? We got it? Alright, cool. Because Halo. Alright, cool. Thank you for listening. That's why I'm giving this the rating I recommend it tier. Book 14, Renegade Evolution. Alright, you listening? Alright. I'm gonna make this even simpler for you, alright? It's gonna be even simpler. Forerunner. Thank you for listening. I recommend it here. Book 15, Renegade of War. So this one kind of is a cool one, weird one, all in the same thing, because not only do we still have our Union, Sarkonians, they're kind of being Sarkonians, so we don't really talk about them until the end, but In this one, there's not only the Forerunners, that they're not called Forerunners, but they played their role. And then we got other actually tie-ins and books in this one, surprisingly, which I guess I should read at some point, but I haven't. But the fact that they made some kind of appearance means I should maybe check them out at some point. So I think that's pretty cool. So it's a nice tie-in to the universe and all that stuff, but it also builds upon, all right, this is going to be big. So I really like that, and I do like the battles as usual. The battles are always great in these scenes, so nothing bad here. So I would obviously give this a recommendation of I recommend it tier. Book 16, Renegade Piece. After using the weapon, after countless friendly deaths, there has been plenty, we finally end at peace. The Union and Zirconians, friends. Jace is actually left alone with his own colony of people that he cares about. And Lex got to grow old finally and stop worrying about, well, war. Jace let himself get old for a little bit. And and there's an anti-aging technology that they have that he hasn't used for right now. He's just kind of enjoying it. The retirement life, I guess you could say. And it ends at a really peaceful place and ties into another tie-in at the end, for you to continue on in the world. And it's really nice. It's ties in the knots. It just closes the book and saying, hey, here's our space journey, and here's the end. And honestly, I loved it. And I really am glad that I got to read this. So this is a tier I recommend it. Overall, Renegade Star to me is something else. It's cool. I enjoyed everything about it. It just had fun, and it knew it was having fun. And this is a space adventure I would love to go on. Yes, there is death. Yes, there is some tragedy. There's tragedy, and that comes with it. But honestly, if there's a space adventure I want to go on, this is the one right here. So much fun. Siggy or Sigmund, however you want to call him. Best AI friend I ever seen. God, I love Sigmund. He's great. Lex, great child, and she ended up growing up and being good. Jace's girlfriend, I can't remember her name on top of my head right now. I don't know why, but awesome too. She's awesome too. And just Jace being Jace, And his backstory, no, not the deepest of all of them, but I really enjoyed his character of being from a jerk to a hero, which is great. And to colonize an own world and being a leader for everyone else, it's great. And I guess the biggest criticism anyone could give to this series is the lack of original ideas. You can tell there's inspiration from Halo, clearly. There's inspiration from Transformers, Gundam, Star Trek, Mass Effect. There is so much sci-fi in this series. And yet, I loved it all the same. Even though there's very little of brand spanking new ideas. The Eternals and Celestials, I think, are pretty new, I would say. But regardless, I think this is a far good experience for a sci-fi reader. Now, granted, if you want something more original, this is something I wouldn't recommend. If you're recommending this to kids, I wouldn't recommend it to kids. I would say maybe if they were freshman year of high school, I would say let them check it out if they want to. But this was a fun experience. What it feels like to me, this story, is like you get all your sci-fi toys together, right? You just jam it all together. You got your Star Wars, your Star Trek, your Battle Galaxy, your Mass Effects, your Halos and everything, and you put them all together. This is Renegade Star. They mashed them all together, and it was just about having fun. And this was nothing but fun. And that's why I love the Renegade Star series. I know a lot of people out there would sit there and say, oh, there's flaws here and there, and you're right. But yet, I had myself checking this story out and saying I loved it. And and if you hated it and don't like it and can't get into it, you know what, that's for you, my friend. But for me, this is the best sci-fi series I've read, and I enjoyed every moment of it. And there's probably are better out there. Hey, I'm pretty sure there's Halo stories written better than this, but you know what? This was so much fun. I had a lot of fun, and one day I might just go back and check out the whole series again because of how much I had fun. And that is why I'm giving this entire series I recommend it. Thank you for watching. Again, I want to thank you guys all for watching this video. This was a lot of fun for me, especially for my favorite series. But yeah, there's plenty more series coming in the future, and there's some I already reviewed in the past. So yeah, click whatever you'd like, and well, I hope you guys have a great day.